What's up? It's Willie McGinnis, three-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, and I'm hanging out with my man Chris Palme, okay? Chris does a podcast, 30 Minutes Live with CDP Podcast, every Wednesday and Friday night on Twitter, Facebook, and his YouTube channel. Make sure everybody tunes in, okay, to my man Chris Palme's podcast. Again, it's every Wednesday and Friday night on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure you guys check him out.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live with CDP podcast on this December 29th at 4 o'clock. A lot of news going on today in the world of sports with the World Junior Tournament being canceled due to the COVID outbreak. I'm not surprised at all, and I'm still waiting for something to happen with the OHL as well at some point. I hope I'm wrong about that. Anyways, also NFL coach and TV analyst, passed away at 85. And then the London Knights today, their defenseman Logan Morex, I think, he got reinstated by the OHL. So the London Knights just got themselves a big-time defenseman for January 1st. That's if the OHL season continues. Today's guest today is Jayevan Foster. He's a CFL player agent, and he's also a former Vanier Cup champion with the Queen's Golden Gales in 2009. So I'm looking forward to speaking to Jayevan today about his playing career with CIU football with Queens, and also becoming a CFL player agent and CFL season and the Grey Cup as well. So just bear with me, and I'll bring on Jayevan in just a moment, and we'll talk a little bit about his college career and his athletic career and how they transitioned into the business world as well. Just give me 1 second, guys, and I just want to wish everybody a happy new year, as this will probably be my last podcast for 2021, but I am working on more shows for next week as well. So just give me one moment, and I'm going to bring on Jayevan Foster, who's out of Hamilton. 1 second, guys. Good afternoon, Jayevan. How you doing?
Hi, how are you, Chris? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, you can hear and see me okay?
I can hear and see you okay. You look
Perfect.
great. Looking good, man. But I guess we didn't have too much turkey this year.
Yeah, no, I don't eat turkey. I'm more of a ham guy, so
Okay.
I got to get back to playing sports again. When I was younger, I was active, and I really do need to get back into playing hockey again and football and all that stuff. I miss that. I'm too old for football, obviously, but anyways, I did put on Tim Hortons Field in the background for you, by the way, since you're out of Hamilton.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Ooh, Tim Hortons Fields, mixed feelings, like our city got heartbroken, and during the last Grey Cup. So it was
yeah, they gave
quite devastating. It was quite devastating. Like, you could just feel the air out of the stadium. 27,000 people just deflated. We're really hoping, I'm neutral. I'm born and raised in Hamilton, so obviously like black and yellow, but I had a couple players on Winnipeg, so I'm happy for them. They won the back-to-back Grey Cup, so they're the team to beat in the CFL right now, right? Everyone's trying their best to compete with the Blue Bombers, right?
Yeah, Hamilton played so well, and then that last 5 minutes, Winnipeg really came back from a 12-point deficit. And you can actually relate to that Grey Cup comeback with Winnipeg in your career with Queens in the Vanier Cup. And you guys were actually down by 18 points, I believe.
That's correct. Yeah, it was fairy tale. It was fairy tale. But, Laval's always a team to beat, in Canada for the last little bit. But Western won it this year. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're dominating, doing their thing. It was tough to see Queens lose in the Yates this year. Western put a beating on them, but they'll be back. They're undefeated. So during the season, and then the Yates Cup just kind of slipped away from them. But
it was good to get both the CFL and the CIU back after a year off, and thankfully they had the Grey Cup done when they did, because with all these restrictions now, it wouldn't have been the same with only half capacity.
Right. Speaking of restrictions, look at the World Juniors. Done.
Yes.
Just like that. I don't know why they picked Alberta. You could have picked anywhere else but Alberta. Maybe do it out east, where or wherever the numbers are low. that's what they should have did it. Like, it's unfortunate. That's one of the biggest tournaments, for the amateur hockey in Canada. So to see that canceled, it's not a good sign, right?
No, and I'm with Rogers TV as a camera operator, as a volunteer with the Guelph Storm games, and every game now that I'm doing, I'm waiting to hear from the producers saying the game's been postponed, because the OHL's had a lot of games postponed, shut down. They haven't paused their season yet, but I'm just wondering when that's going to happen. And the OHL is like the CFL; it's a gate-driven league, and with only 50% capacity and no food and beverage sales, teams can't make a lot of money off that. And sports is business, as you know, as well.
Absolutely. So sometimes it just makes sense for them not to open their doors, right? And that's what happened with the CFL in 2020. It just didn't make sense because you're going to have no fans, so they're going to take a loss. So they're going to take a huge loss. So why even open up the, it was tough. It was tough having no season, but I get it from a business perspective why it didn't happen,
Yeah, in my opinion on the World Juniors, they should have gone into a bubble like they did last year, a complete strict bubble.
Right.
And I don't,
and even like the fans, like you don't need, the capacity, I think, was down to 50% capacity. So yeah, I just don't think they really need the fans. Like you said, the bubble would have definitely been ideal. And I think that they're seeing it too in the NBA, NHL. Maybe they should have just kept the bubble model until we're out of this. Right. Because every time we think we're out of it, it's just like,
it comes back stronger. So yeah, I'm just glad the CFL and the CIU got their seasons in and that, and I'm hoping maybe by the end of 2022 things will get better. Hopefully by the end of this new year coming up.
Yeah, I'm hoping that too. Even with the upcoming drafts and stuff. Like last year, the combine was virtual, so I'm hoping that it's scheduled to be in Toronto this year, March 25th to 27th. So, I'm really hoping that it's back to being live. It's great to see the guys compete and be there for your players and coach them through the day and stuff. Yeah. So really hoping it's not virtual again, because it's tough for players to get psyched up to do a virtual combine, right? Like you're going to get 10 on bench in a live combine. That number may go up to 15 because adrenaline, people like the environment, the energy. So I'm hoping that, like I said, things can slowly get back to normal. But every time I feel like things are getting back to normal, it's just like bam,
yeah. Like you said, and I've been doing this podcast for a year now. I started my podcast actually when this pandemic was getting bad. So I've been focused on doing this 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. Yeah. And then my camera work, I didn't do it for a year and a half. And I'm just so glad to be back in an arena again and doing the OHL games. And it's nice to be in a sporting event. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully the worst of this will be over soon. But I have a feeling it's going to go on for maybe another year at least.
I know.
So I was going to say, you're my first guest that's been a Vanier Cup champion. Do you still wear your ring once in a while?
Yeah, so
let's see it. Cool. Yes. That is really nice.
Yeah, so 2009. The Queens hasn't won it since, right? So
it's hard to win, man. It's hard to win.
Yeah, it's definitely 2009. So it's 12 years ago, right? So time flies, but like I said, Queens is doing their thing. Coach Snyder, they have a great program. They're like I said, they're undefeated this year in the OUA. So we hope that if anyone can pull it off, I think Coach Snyder can do it. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to knock off Western, but I think it's possible for sure. Yeah, man. Thanks. Like I said, I wear the ring if I'm going to when I'm scouting, recruiting players, when I'm going to the combine. It's a great conversation starter. And to let the players know that, I'm an agent now, but I've also played in one at the highest level too. Right. So I kind of understand what these players are going through sometimes because I've been in their shoes. Right.
Definitely. And the thing is, even Vanier Cup is so hard to win. The Guelph Griffins haven't won one since 1984. It just and like I said, any kind of championship you win in sports or even in the minor leagues, people should appreciate it because it takes a team effort to win. And you guys, I was reading up on it, we're down 18 points, and then you guys just dominated the second half of that game. And it's just, man, I have to start getting back into CIU a little more too, because I know I watch a lot of U.S. college football, but the Canadian university football product is pretty darn good too.
It is pretty darn good. And like I said, a lot of these players can compete in the NCAA if they wanted to, but they chose to stay in Canada. And not only that, like you said, every year, like in the last NFL draft last year, we had 6 Canadians drafted, right? So, and right after the draft, another 6 signed UDFAs, so undrafted free agents. So that number is going to continue to increase every single year because we got ballers across this country, and the game. So many players now are playing Division I, playing youth sports, and they're going to get opportunities to play in the CFL and the NFL. Like I'm telling you that even in this draft, 2022 draft, come April, we're going to see another handful of guys go straight to the NFL, right? Like it's playing for teams that we all watched our whole life, envisioned to play for. We got Neville Gallimore playing for the Cowboys. You know what I mean? You got Chase Claypool playing for the Steelers, and Chuba Hubbard starting for the Carolina Panthers. Like these are Canadians. So it's showing our young guys across the country that it's possible. Anything you put your mind to is possible, right? So we lead the world in hockey, right? And basketball, we're killing it. I'm from Hamilton. We have Shea Alexander. OKC should be an all-star this year, right? He's from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. So, and again, we're filling up the NBA again with a tons of Canadians. So we're now finally, it's starting to trickle down to football where it's going to be normal. It's going to be normalized that tons of Canadians are drafted into the NFL. And that's what I'm here to do, is to normalize it, because we have great athletes across from east to west coast in this country. So just about helping them get exposed and getting them down south if that's where they want to go, right?
I really hope, I know there's been talk about it, they want to go to a 4-down CFL, and I like the 3 downs, and I understand change is a part of the game in a business, Jayevan, but I really don't want to see them going to 4 downs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't see it happening. I think it's almost like it's just to stay relevant or just be in the talks, even the whole XFL thing, like it was just to kind of, news, you know what I mean? Yeah. I can't see it happening. It's like this CFL is the oldest football league in the world.
Yes.
And then, it's one of the oldest leagues in the world. And like I said, the history is 3 downs. So
we'll cross our fingers on that. But like I said, I really appreciate you coming on today. And I was just going to ask you some questions. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. The first one I wanted to ask, can you just tell my audience just a little bit about yourself, and how did being an athlete impact your life outside of sports as well, or helped you in your being a CFL player agent outside of the school?
Yeah, so born and raised in Hamilton, played a lot of sports growing up, like football, basketball, track. Started playing football late, like I started playing grade 11. So in senior, I thought I was going to go Division I for basketball, but I stopped growing at 6 feet. So, so nothing really happened there, but, had a really good season in grade 11, played in grade 12. And then I started getting a lot of interest from football, teams from across the country. And I was like, man, this football thing's pretty cool. Like, I think I should probably pursue this. And then, like Queens came calling, a couple other schools came calling. And after doing a visit with Coach Sheehan, was the coach at the time there. And after meeting the team and seeing Kingston, I fell in love, and I went back to school for another year just to play to get more. Cause I didn't know football that well. I only played for 2 years. Right.
Wow.
And then went back for grade 13 when they had it back in the day, and had a really successful season again. So I ended up choosing Queens. And so a lot of the skills, the athletes have is, we're team players, we're organized, we're leaders. So a lot of those skills and qualities that an athlete may have is, it's advantageous in the professional world, right? So, a lot of companies, I know that some companies sometimes only hire athletes because they got what you're looking for. You know what I mean? So it's really helped a lot in my professional career. And a lot of my friends were going to the league when I was playing, and I didn't get unfortunately, I didn't get the same opportunity. It's only 6 foot 160. So it's a Speedy Banks type of players. But at the time, that wasn't really normal, right? You know what I mean? Like everyone wanted big, bulky receivers at that time. So, and then, I was going to go to law school, and, I just really wanted to become an agent and just made it happen. And now, the rest is kind of history. It's been 7 years now, and getting my NFL license in 2023. So again, that's helping me grow. Like I said, my goal is to get these Canadians down south. It's like, I think we have amazing talent across the country, and I want to be the guy that, is getting them to the NFL,
Yeah. And what you said applies to even hockey too. In hockey, it used to be big physical type players. Now you don't have to be as tall, like 6'4" or whatever, and it's more on skill and speed. And Speedy Banks is just one guy right there. He's not the biggest guy, but he is one of the fastest players in the CFL.
Exactly. And like now that's more normalized, even in youth sports. There's a lot of guys coming up in this draft that are Wes Welker type of guys, Rob Bagg type of guys. Who's always, shout out to Queens, he's another Queens guy. The slot type of guys that are not huge, but they've worked the inside, they work the slots. They could be punt returns, kick returns. So the game has changed, right? The game has really changed. You're seeing it in the NFL, you're seeing it in the CFL as well, that you don't have to be 6'3", 225 to play receiver anymore, right? So.
Well, and look at the one guy for the Bills the other day, Isaiah McKenzie. He hadn't been used much this year. He's not a big guy, and he just killed the Patriots in their secondary. And like I said, too much in the past. Size was so important in hockey and in football and even in basketball. But to me, it should be skill and speed should be just as big a factor, if not more.
Exactly. So like now it's like I used to only look at guys that check the boxes for height and weight, but now it's like you got to look at other factors now, right? So
and also too, football IQ, baseball IQ. That's what I've been talking to with other guys from the other sports as well. They look for character and also their hockey IQ and basketball and football IQ as well. And one guy on the Tiger Cats that used to play for them might not have been the biggest guy or the fastest guy. Luke Tasker, one of the smartest players, and exactly. He got it from his dad, Steve.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like guys, and that's why, I look for guys that are, just good characters on and off the field. Like for me, it's not like my recruiting style is not only about athletics. Like there's a lot more boxes that I like to check. My scouting is a little bit different from other people. Some people just love just the freak athletes, but for me, it's so much more, especially being a Queens guy. Education is important to me. Guys that are in their playbooks, understand concepts. That's really important to me as well. That share similar mindset as me, like morals, ethics, values, that stuff. I know it's not important to everybody, but for myself, like I like to represent guys that, share those similar traits as myself. So I don't have to worry about you getting in a fight or getting locked up in jail for hitting your wife or any of that nonsense, Yeah. So definitely. It's important to look for good character guys, right?
Okay. Second question you already answered, but I'm going to give you the other part of the question. Did you have any mentor or mentors when you were starting out, Jayevan, like in sports and then after athletics?
So so like my life, I've definitely had a lot of mentors. I feel like it's some of them are still around and then some just come and go depending on, So I attended school, went to Queens. Obviously, I'm always repping my school right here. the Q, I got the Q there. Queens has been good to me. I'm really heavily involved with the school. I go to a lot of networking events, things like that. But mentors, like been personal friends, fans of the family. In football, like we had guys like Brad Smith and who had a little bit of stint in the CFL as well. He's the Bachelor of Canada, so kind of guys like that. Around on the team, guys like Thane Carter, who's a President's Trophy winner from Queens. So, and then as I've become into starting my business, things like that, I had some other mentors as well. I think mentorship is one of those things that are very underrated. If you find a good one, it's amazing. In the agent world, didn't happen so much just because it's so cutthroat and dog eat dog. People aren't really trying to help or mentor you when you're going to be their competition in a year or two, right? So I found in the agent world, I had to kind of learn the hard way. There wasn't many people I could call for advice or for help because, again, I'm their competition, right? So it is what it is. I had to learn the hard way, and sometimes it sucked, but I wouldn't change anything because it propelled me to where I am now.
Okay. And that leads to my next question. How did you end up becoming a CFL player agent? Did you know right away after you were done playing with Queens that you wanted to do that? Or did it take you a couple years to figure out what you wanted to get into doing that?
Yeah, it took me a little bit of time because it's just, like I said, it's not a career path that it's glamorous. Everyone wants to do it, but it's when you really start doing research and look into it, it's tough, right? It's like you're representing players. It was very tough to start out, but for me, it was just like a passion. I loved football. I was very entrepreneurial minded, so I knew that, like I said, all my buddies were playing in the league, and I said, man, like they're always calling me for help and this stuff like that. I'm like, man, like I should just look into this, becoming an agent, right? And it's almost like a little joke at first, and then, you know, you watch a movie, you know, with you watch a movie about being an agent, Jerry Maguire, and I'm like, man, I could do this, right? And show me the money, right? So that's one of the most epic movies. Watched that as a kid, and I was just like, man, I really want to do this. And my goal was obviously NFL was the ultimate goal, but I really wanted to start in the CFL first, get my feet wet, build a name for myself, get things rolling with my clientele, because that takes a little bit of time, right? Like to get guys to trust you in their draft year. As a young guy that you're around the same age as them, they're just like, I'm probably going to go with the old guy that I know has, 100 players, rather than go with this new guy fresh off the block, right? But takes time, and I have 100% success draft rate every year. I had players drafted, and you build up your name for yourself. And now that I'm in the conversation every time, talking to top prospects, NFL prospects and CFL prospects every year now. So it's quite exciting, but it wasn't easy. You know what I mean? I always say, like, it's like an iceberg, right? Everyone only sees the top. They don't see all the stuff on the bottom. And
exactly.
An iceberg goes so far, just as far down, if not further. And that's all the bullshit that I had to go through, right? Like, all the no's, GM's taking advantage of me because I'm young, and I'm like, and I'm just pumped to get my guy a contract, and not knowing that, damn, I just signed the crappiest deal ever, right? But those are things that you got to learn, so.
And it's sort of like with my podcast too. I'm trying to switch careers right now at 49, and you have to start somewhere. And I'm doing that with Rogers TV as a volunteer, and then doing my podcast. And when I started my podcast too, it took me 4 or 5 months to start getting people to come on, because they wanted to see that I could do a good podcast. And then soon as I got guests coming on, then more people started talking, and it's hard work. Anything in a career, you have to be willing to work hard and make sacrifices for.
Exactly. And now, like, even when I go back, look at all their podcasts, it's like you have very accomplished guests. It's like, obviously, you're getting better and better and better, bigger and bigger guests. So I was just humbled and honored that you reached out, and, we follow each other on social media and stuff. I love what you've been doing. So for me, it was a no-brainer. When you reached out, I was like, absolutely. Why wouldn't I? Right. It's like, you're doing your thing. I feel like I've been doing my thing. So, like, it's like, this is sometimes it just affirms that I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right things. Right.
Yeah, and there's sometimes I get naysayers and stuff like that, but you know what? I'm trying to do this the unconventional way without going to school for this. Not that I'm against college or university, but Rogers TV is a great place to learn broadcasting from, and then from the podcast. And every guest I have on, including yourself, I learn from my guests and learn new stories for them as well.
Of course. And that's what it's all about. You got to be a student for a lifetime, is what we say.
So yes, definitely. And I'm really lucky, and I really appreciate you coming on. And you're the first player agent I've had to come on, so this is great, because I like to learn. I try to branch out too. A lot of my podcasts are sports, but I also try to get people from other professions on as well, so I can even learn more and show somebody out there that I'm capable of interviewing people from all different types of professions.
Absolutely. Like, I think this is perfect for you, man. Like, Chris, I think, like, you got it's now or never. So, like, you made the jump, and no turning back now, right? You're doing a hell of a job. You're getting great guests, and it's just about growing. You're getting the name out there more. But you're doing your thing. Like, I see you're very active on social media. People are tuning in. The views are going up. So all you have. Consistency, right? That's all.
Consistency, and not get discouraged if I don't have a huge following. Just keep doing what I'm doing. And Eric Smith of the Raptors gave me the best advice. Talk to your guests like you're at a sporting event, or you learn how to ad-lib too. So I've been learning stuff from Eric Smith, and Paul Jones is going to come on in the new year as well. So I've been very lucky, and I just have to keep grinding away at it.
That's it, brick by brick. That's what we
definitely
say.
Now, this next question I wanted to ask you, what is a normal day like for a CFL agent or agent? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, so it varies. So it just depends on time of year. So right now it's like All the seasons are pretty much done except for it's a bowl season in the States, but for Canada, the games are done. So right now, the combine invites are coming out for all the players that are invited to the national and then the 3 regionals that we're having. So a normal day, like right now, it's normal day is basically I'm just working the phones, talking to a lot of the guys that I already have signed, and I'm also trying to sign obviously more guys for the upcoming draft. Then you're helping I'm helping my players with their highlight tape, stuff like that right now, and then you're also always recruiting for even like the 2023, like it starts early, right? So but right now a lot of the focus is on the combine, getting these guys ready and for the draft, right? So that's like right now that's basically my main concern. My schedule's really filled up with just a lot of these like Zooms, FaceTimes with players, trying to win them over, you're talking to the parents, whining and dining, that type of stuff right now. During the season, it's similar. You're just attending lots of games. Like I go to lots of games. I live in Hamilton, so I'm able to I have all the schools within an hour radius of me. Like I can go to Waterloo and watch games. I can go to Western and watch games for London if I want. I can go to Toronto's right there. There's York and UFT, but I can stay right in my own backyard and McMaster and teams are coming through there. So it's like it works out really perfect. But so I think the normal day it changes depending on the season. Like summertime, that's a really east-west time. So you're getting ready for the following draft already. Because you're trying to sign guys before their season even starts. That way, it's like you lock them in. You don't have to worry about them. You kind of just guide them throughout the season. So right now, it's all about the combine and draft preparation for my guys, making sure that they smash their interviews with the CFL teams, making sure that they're training, and making sure that basically that they leave no stone unturned because they're at the finish line right now, and it's just like. If you hiccup now, it's like everything you did in your 4-year career could go to waste if you don't go to the combine and do what you're supposed to do. So a lot of the guys right now, like I said, it's Christmas holidays, but they're not out partying and drinking with their boys. They're like they have to like be focused because if this is what they want, you have to sacrifice, right?
Yeah, and that goes for any career too, and that's good advice. And what you're just basically saying there, even in a CFL off season, really with agents, it's not really an off season. It's a 24/7, 365 day a year business.
Exactly. And even with COVID, it's like sometimes you're kind of like a life coach, you're a mentor, you're a friend, you're helping them with the relationship advice, things that are going on at home, money issues. Like you're just so it's a lot. You know what I mean? It is a lot. It's people think it's glamorous and it has its fun times. I get to go to sporting events. That's my career. I get to go to live sporting events all the time. But again, they're not seeing like the stress and your phone's ringing all hours of the day. You always have to be accessible to people, their parents. Everyone's always asking you questions. And, I call them sometimes like they're time vampires. They're always trying to take your time. But like, so I have to be very careful with my time and be able comfortable in saying no to things at times because it's just, if it doesn't serve you, it's not going to help me grow, then I can't do it. Doesn't help anyone when you're spread too thin and you're exhausted and, you're not your best version of yourself, right? So sometimes the best thing is just say no, right?
And the thing too, a good agent is really important because you're right. Agents do a lot for their clients, and it's important to be able to trust your agent and build a rapport with your client as well, and to make it a successful business arrangement as well. And in some cases, you probably made some friendships out of it.
Yeah, like of course, like it's like I think all my players end up becoming like close friends because you're helping them through pivotal points in their life and you're their advocate, right? You're fighting for them with the GMs, pushing for every dollar, trying to get them, what they need to get. And like you're their advocate, so you're on their side. Sometimes during the season, I'm the only person that understands what they're really going through, right? They have issues with the GM or coaching's they're not playing or they get a fine for a hit. It's like they're calling me, right? So it's it's a lot for sure. But like I said, I definitely feel like a lot of the players that I've represented, we become lifelong friends. It's you meet their families love you and you get Christmas cards, you get invited to dinners, like pre-COVID, obviously. But yeah, so it's really cool. Football is family, just like sports is family, right? Yeah. So Like when you're helping it, if someone's son get to the next level, it's accomplishment for the parents as well, that they know how much money and effort they put into driving them to and from practices, or getting them a personal trainer, and getting them that elite gym membership. It's not cheap, right? Like hockey is probably the most expensive sport.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, being an agent is not a normal 8 to 4, 9 to 5 job either.
No, like I said, I feel like I'm on the clock 24/7, like my girl is giving me grief already for coming on here. She's like,
tell her sorry. I won't keep you too long.
Yeah. So, but it's all about balance, like anything in life. Right. So,
yeah. Well, and that's what I'm doing right now with my current job, working midnights. Then I'm doing my podcast, and then I'm doing my volunteer work with Rogers. I just make sure I balance everything where I don't go over crazy, and then I can't do a really good job doing my camera work or doing my podcast as well. Balance.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Definitely. You kind of answered my next question about what you enjoyed the most about being a player or agent, and some of the hardest aspects. You've already mentioned that, so we'll get to the next question here. And that's another thing I've learned by doing a podcast, listening skills. If you ask your guests one question, they could give you the answers to 2, 3, 4, 5 questions as well. So I'm just going to get to the next question. What were your thoughts overall on the 2021 CFL season, and even the CIU season, and the 21 Grey Cup in Hamilton? And obviously you were at the game in Hamilton, right?
Yeah, I was definitely at the game. It was pretty epic halftime show with the Arkells performing. So it was amazing. Like, I'm happy that Hamilton's getting it again in 2023, because I know that a lot of the things they wanted to do wasn't possible because of COVID. So like the game was, I thought it was first of all, the season. I'm just happy there was a season, because remember, we didn't have a season in 2020. So a shortened season, whatever, it didn't matter. I was happy that we're able to get on the field, get a product on the field, and play. Like you could see that across the country, all viewership was up this year. People love the game. We love the CFL. We love football, and maybe not all markets are equal, but like I said, we definitely love the CFL. The Grey Cup in Hamilton, I think, was fantastic. That game was amazing. I think people should the only thing I would have done is not put on a Sunday, because then you're competing with NFL. So it's like, put on a day where there's no NFL. So then we could just get all the viewership. But even though the views are up really, really high this year, right? So Hamilton did a great job. Like caretaker Bob, like the city, we needed it. That's 2 heartbreaking losses back to back for Hamilton. So it's like, like our CEBL basketball league won the championship. Our soccer team won the championship, and the only one that couldn't pull it off was the Tiger Cats. So it's I wish the best for them. Like Sean Burke just left, so he's in Ottawa. So
yes,
I know that Drew Alleman's going to be doing his thing, and it's a great organization. Orlando's taking on some more roles, but like I said, they're one play away from winning a great, right?
Yeah.
So
Tyler Eklund, if he had caught that ball, that could have changed everything. But you know what? It just shows you how hard it is to win a championship. And I'm going to be honest, I'm an Argonauts fan. So, but hey, like you said, it's good for the CFL if Hamilton and Toronto are good at the same time. Because for many years, it was either the Argos were good and Hamilton was struggling, or Hamilton has been strong lately and Toronto's been very bad. And to me, they need to get both of them being competitive at the same time, and hopefully getting that attendance up in Toronto, because there's no reason why people can't go to a CFL game in Toronto. The price is right, and BMO Field is one of the nicest stadiums there.
It is, and it's a shame that it's empty sometimes, right? Like, it's an absolute shame. But like I said, the Argos are doing their thing. Like, they had some big signings, just signed Shane Richards back, and they let Charleston Hughes go. I know a lot of people are really upset about that, but it's like, it is what it is, right?
It's a business now too, and obviously he made an arrangement with the Argos. It was time to move on, and the teams have to follow the salary cap too. That's another thing too. They have to have people that are accountants basically with the teams now to make sure the teams don't go over the salary cap.
Exactly. There's a lot of different things that go into it, but what I would love to see more in the CFL is just more multi-year deals. Like, right? Like, it's like, every free agency, think about how many players are in free agency every single year. It's like, even if you follow the CFL and you want to buy a jersey, it's like, you can't, because you don't even know where the player is going to be next year. So I think that's what we need to get better at, is they need to figure out a way to do multi-year deals where guys are, because I like guys staying in the same place for a little bit. It's like,
Absolutely.
Like, show your loyalty to teams, stay there, build there. And, you know, like I got players that, you know, that have only played their career in one city, and that should be more normalized rather than every year you're always just trying to get 5,000 more, 10,000 more. It's like, man, like grow in that city, be part of their community. Right. So
like when I grew up in the 70s, I'm old 70s and 80s. I identified the Argos with Conrad Holloway, Cedric Mentor, Terry Greer, Hank Olisic, with the Tiger Cats, Ben Zambiazzi, Ken Hobart, Mike Kerrigan. And it would be nice to see a little more stability with all the franchises. And I think Hamilton's been doing a good job with that recently as well.
Yeah, Hamilton's one of those teams that they like, you know, and some of the out west teams as well. They keep their core, and that's what it's about. Look at Winnipeg; they keep their core. And why do you think their camaraderie? They have, you know, it's all, they have great energy, great vibe, because it's the same players. It's not like a turnover every year when it's just like 50 new players. It's like, no, they have their core and they build around that core, right? And that's what it's about, right? So, yeah, man, like it's. I think the CFL is heading in the right direction. I think, like I said, maybe we need to get the sports betting really help them. I think make some monetize, make some money, and I think we need to get maybe some TV deals. Maybe take TSN, CBC, Sportsnet, the school all battle for games, and that way, you know, you're creating more revenue for the league, right? Rather than just being solely dependent on gates. And it's like, that doesn't work. We see the model doesn't work. Right? The gate-driven model does not work, right? Look at the NFL. They make all their money from TV. That's where all their money is made, right? So we need to follow suit. We follow them in so many other aspects, but we should follow them in their revenue model as well. So, but I think we're heading in the right direction. Like, it was a hell of a season. That Grey Cup, everyone enjoyed. Like, doesn't even if you don't like those two teams, it's like if you're a football fan watching that game, it was so entertaining. Went to overtime. Like, what? Like, so it was a hell of a game, right? It just was unfortunate that it didn't go Hamilton's way again. But like I said, they just gotta, you know, wipe off the tears and you get ready again. Like, it's because, again, like the next day I was already negotiating deals again for players. So like, GMs don't sleep. Like, I was doing deals the next day right after the Grey Cup. So it's like, even Christmas Day doing deals. Like, it's like these GMs there, you know, we work, like I said, we work around the clock sometimes. Like, it's the holidays. Like, I have a couple of emails right now that I got to figure out because I'm trying to negotiate some deals, finalize some deals before the new year. I like to get deals done sometimes before free agency because sometimes that money dries up, right? So it's like, I know teams, they keep a little bit of money there, obviously, for the free agents, but it's like, for me, I like to get all my deals done before the end of the year. That way, when February comes, I may not have any free agents. So if I do, it's like, okay, only a few, because it's like, I like to get deals done beforehand because, like I said, you don't want to be in a situation where, guess what? The team just didn't have money for you anymore, man. You waited too long. You wanted to see what's out there. And guess what? Now there's not much, my friend. So you got to take this, and this. And now we have no options, right? So
what's the current salary cap at the CFL right now? I'll only keep you a couple more minutes. Are you okay for about 5 more minutes?
Of course. Off the top of my head, at the top of my head, I don't remember. I just, off the top of my head, I don't currently remember.
Okay, no problem. And what I was going to ask you also is, Zach Caleros, is he a CFL Hall of Fame quarterback or not? Yes or no?
Zach Caleros, woo, putting me on the spot. Like, he has two great cups.
Three. 2 with Winnipeg and 1 with Toronto as a backup. 2012, he was a backup to Ricky Ray. The Argos had him a couple times, but you know what? Him going to Hamilton was probably the best thing that happened to his career, because Ricky Ray obviously is a Hall of Famer, and he stayed in Toronto for another 5 years until 2018. And then it looked like he was done when he went to Saskatchewan with a concussion, and then Toronto took him back, and then Winnipeg, yeah. So to me, I think he is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, like I feel like he's got a lot more left in the tank, to be honest. But like I said, he's a proven winner. He's been winning everywhere he kind of goes for the most part, right? And now he's got 3 Grey Cups, so it's a proven leader. Like, he's a proven leader, and the numbers don't lie at the end of the day, right? So
I'm happy for the couple guys on Winnipeg. Mike O'Shea, who was an Argo. I'm an Argos fan, obviously, and he's from the University of Guelph.
Yep.
Played here, one of the best Guelph Griffins of all time. And Johnny Augustine, who I'm trying to get on my podcast one day. He's a friend of mine. I met him a few years ago, and I'm so happy for him because he's had to work hard to get into the CFL.
Absolutely. He went undrafted, right? So
yeah.
It just shows you that it doesn't matter. Like I tell guys all the time, doesn't matter what combine you're at, doesn't matter if you get drafted or not, because look at that, Johnny Augustine, right? Like he's from the Niagara region.
Yes.
Played for Guelph. Yeah, I tried to get him. He ended up not going with me because again, I was really new at the time, and he really wanted to go pro. Didn't work out, but we still have a great relationship. We still talk all the time. Like he's doing his thing. I'm proud of him as well. He stays in amazing shape. Definitely get him on there. Tell him that Jayevan said he's got to come on. Tell him he's got to.
Will do. I have one of his mentors, Doug, former police officer in Guelph, come on too. So I am going to work on getting him on and stuff. And that's another thing you just mentioned too. Even if you don't get somebody the client, it's important to build contacts. And then who knows, in the future, they might want to switch with you. And it's the same with doing podcasting or radio. It's important to build contacts. Even if somebody doesn't want to come on my show, still keep in touch with them. And who knows, maybe in the future, they'll change their mind.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So like all the guys that go with someone else, like I still keep their numbers. I don't and sometimes those guys are the same ones calling me because guess what? They can't get a hold of their agent because they're too busy. But guess who's picking up their phone? So, and I always answer their questions and stuff because you never know. Because when the chips are down and you can't get a hold of your guy, you're calling me and I'm answering the phone. So that's why, like you said, it's always good to keep those relationships. You don't want to burn any bridges, anything like that. So yeah, and that's the key is that you can't take it personal. You just gotta have tough skin. Like I said, nobody knows. I hear even this draft class. I'm hearing you knows all the time, but you just gotta keep it moving because there is gonna be a good core group of guys that are gonna say yes, and those are the guys that you're gonna ride for and go to battle for, right? So, like I said, every draft day is just as much as a draft day for me as it is for them. Like I get when their name gets called, I'm cheering. Yeah, screaming, get on the phone, give them a call. And I'm just as pumped. I'm screaming, saying, you're screaming. And it's just because it's passionate. I love it. I'm part of their journey, and I want them to win as well. Right. And it doesn't end it doesn't end on draft day. Like I said, a lot of guys' names are not going to be called. Only 75 guys' names are called. There's like 500 eligible guys for every draft. Only 75 guys are going to have their name called. So, and like you said, guys like Johnny Augustine, a lot of people go have Albert Awachi, a fullback, undrafted from UFT. He's been in the league for 7 years with Saskatchewan. So, like I said, there's always a way in. Like when there's a will, there's a way. So you can always find a way in. And hard work always pays off. So.
And that's how I look at this podcast is an addition for what I want to get into radio. And I'm looking at myself as somebody being undrafted too, because I'm doing it the unconventional way without going to broadcasting or university for this. And I can relate to some of these guys that haven't been drafted, and I'm trying to do it the other way.
Yeah, and like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Like now you're gaining all the experience hands-on. What you would be doing in school, you're doing right now, right here, live, right? So this is what it's all about. You're learning on the job training, on the job learning. So I think you're doing a hell of a job. And like I said, I've watched like a lot of your previous podcasts and great conversations, great guests. So like I said, it's only up from here. So I'm happy that I was able to come on and be one of the last guests of 2021 and give you momentum to go ahead into 2022, right?
Definitely. And I was just going to wrap up one last question. This one I'm going to ask you, and then we'll get to this one and I'll let you go. Besides the CFL, what are some other sports leagues that you follow? Or do you have any favorite other teams in other leagues?
Yeah. So for NFL, I'm a big Eagles fan.
So am I. Fly, Eagles, fly. Wow.
That's it.
All right. My brother.
Cowboys won the divion, but the Eagles are right behind them. So, so obviously baseball, I'm a big Blue Jays fan, obviously. Okay. Hockey, the Toronto make me laugh, unfortunately. So and then soccer, I love Man U, obviously TFC fan. And then obviously World Junior is always going to support Canada. But yeah, for me it's Eagles, man. I never thought I'd see the day that they'd win a Super Bowl. I never thought I would ever see one live. Like,
I was in shock. I was in shock after they won it. I was expecting Brady and the Patriots to come back, and when they won, I couldn't believe it. I was like walking around, running around. It was like, really, this happened? And it was, yeah. And it was Michigan Wolverines alumni that sealed the deal. Brandon Graham with that huge sack strip of Brady with about 2 minutes left.
Yeah. And remember back in the day too with Donovan McNabb,
Yep.
like I thought that could have been the year, but like that's when T.O. came back with a broken foot, had all those bolts in his ankle, and played a hell of a game. And McNabb was puking, like looking not that good, but
and that was a Super Bowl we could have won. That Super Bowl wasn't like a blowout.
No.
If the Eagles did make some turnover like mistakes, they could have won that Super Bowl.
Yeah, they lost by a field goal, right?
Yeah,
So it took him a long time to get back there. But like I said, I was really happy for Nick Foles. I felt I was a big Carson Wentz fan. I loved Carson, and I just think when the Eagles drafted Jalen, that really hurt his confidence. And you can see what he's doing in Indiana this year, right? He's killing it. So some people just need a fresh start sometimes.
I agree. And I think with Winston Indy, he's with Frank Wright, and I think that's great for him. And he has a running game, one of the best backs in the game in Taylor, so he doesn't have to throw 35, 40 times. And Indianapolis, I'm not saying they don't care about the Colts. Philadelphia, as you know, is a tough city to play goalie, be a pitcher, be a quarterback, as Donovan McNabb. And I think Jalen Hurts has the thick skin to deal with the Philadelphia media, because I'm sure he heard stuff last year and then early in the season, and he has developed into a good quarterback. And I don't know if he'll be as good as Randall Cunningham, but if he's 3/4 as good as Randall Cunningham was, the Eagles got their franchise quarterback for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, like I like what he's doing. They're really playing to his strengths, but what they're doing the best is just pounding the ball. It's just like with Miles Sanders pounding the ball with Scott and Jordan Howard. It's just like that's the game. And you do some play action pass, you're good to go. So the Cowboys, like I said, they are number one in division. They had a pretty weak schedule.
Yes.
But like I said, we have 2 more games coming up. So I'm hoping that we have Cowboys and Skins. So I'm hoping they can win out, and then anything's possible. So I'm hoping we get that last seed, and then we'll play the second seed in the first round, right?
Well, I'm definitely going to have to bring you back again, especially you're an Eagles fan. Maybe we'll just do a podcast strictly on the Eagles, and maybe after the season and break down everything, maybe.
Sure, yeah. I'm
definitely.
Old. And once I get the NFL license, like hopefully we have some Eagles players.
Definitely. I'm a huge Hurts fan. I like Sanders. Devontae Smith, I think he's going to be the number 1 receiver for many years. Rager has actually helped out a little more. He's got speed, but he's not been consistent enough. So I'm hoping Rager, especially next year, will even develop even more. And like I said, you're right. It all starts with the O-line, D-line. And Nick Sirianni, I was a skeptic of him, but he's proven me wrong. I think he's going to be a very good coach for many years.
Well, like the O-line, like I said, we just got Johnson back, and like that's been huge. What do you think we're always running to the right, because you got Kelsey and that O-line to the right. It's strong, man. They're big guys. You got Johnson, you got guys that are back, they're healthy, but it's all about the ground and pound, right? So, yeah, it's gonna be exciting. NFL is very exciting. We're gonna see what happens here coming down the stretch. So it will be exciting to see what happens for sure.
And the thing is, they don't have to rely on Hurts 35, 40, 50 times a game to take a little pressure off of him too. And what I like about him is as well is his mobility too. But everybody says, okay, maybe he doesn't have an arm like Josh Allen, but I think his arm is not bad. I think he's got decent arm strength.
Yeah, like he needs to hit is like he doesn't need to always go big bombs. It's just secondary mid-level throws. That's what Jalen Hurts is good at, right? Play action pass. So I'm liking what the Eagles are doing. Like it's like I said, they could easily have 2 more wins easily.
Yeah.
Some of the losses were kind of sketchy, but that's the name of the game this year. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm hoping like a lot of teams. I know fantasy football. Do you play fantasy football?
No, I should.
Yeah, definitely. Like you're to kill it, man. You're to kill it. It's fun. It's fun.
Okay.
Been playing for a while, and it just makes it a little more fun. Like you try cheering for players and maybe not you wouldn't cheer for stuff like that. But
And my last question for you is just not just for me, but any advice for those looking to pursue a career as an agent or perhaps starting up their own business in the profession they choose? Where can my audience find you on social media? And can we just see your Vanier Cup ring one more time? That is pretty cool. That is special. Cool.
Yes. So it's pretty cool. It has I'll just take it off. So I don't know if you can see it. It has like the score of the game on it and other cool things on it. But yeah, it's just one of those things that, like you say, it's you know, like so like there's my name, Foster, 81 is what I wore, and then this is the score of the game.
The game. Wow.
31.
And
right?
nobody can ever take that away from you.
And that's what I tell people all the time. It's like a championship is it's in the history books, right? It's just like whether it's a Yates Cup or a Pee Wee championship, it doesn't matter. It's like I remember like it was just yesterday in 2009, right, with Danny Brannigan and all these amazing players that a lot of them, you know, had stints in the CFL and yeah, it's like it's a brotherhood. It's like you know, that's what it's about. But any advice for people that want to become an agent? It's just first of all, like I say, just pick one sport at first. Like people think they can do 3, 4, 5 sports at once, and it's like you can, but it's like again, you got to pick one and master it. Like for me, you know, I started off with hockey and then basketball, and then I'm like, you know what, football. That's what I know best because I played in the CIS. I'm like, let me go to football, and then the next step for me from CFL is NFL. So you got to pick the sport that you love. It's whatever you're passionate about. I think that's where you go. And then it's like, yeah, anything you set your mind to. Like for me, it's a very unconventional job. A lot of people want to do it, but no one really does it. Like for me, what the difference was is just like, I didn't want to just talk about it. I wanted to be about the action, like Marshawn Lynch. I'm about that action, man. So for me, it's just like I did the research, you know, aligned everything that I needed to be aligned and just went about and did it. You know, I didn't really talk about it. I didn't tell people. I didn't post on Instagram. I didn't post on Twitter. I just went out, did my research, executed, and now, you know, the rest is history since 2015, right? So, and the NFL will be the same thing. It's just like, I want to come in there and you know, have Bill Belichick calling me saying, hey, Jayevan, who do you got for me in Canada this year? You know what I mean? And because like I said, we have ballers across the country and we have so many kids playing Division I. We have so many prep schools across Canada now. Like it's insane. We got, you know, Clearwater Academy. We got programs out there. So, but for me, it's like, yeah, whatever you're passionate about, put your mind to it and do it. And like I said, there's going to be people, you're going to have the self-doubt. You're going to have people, the naysayers, the haters saying, you know, the biggest thing is self-belief because we're our own biggest enemy. Sometimes we have that negative self-talk that maybe deters us from doing what we know we're capable of doing. So we just have to have that confidence and go and do what you need to do. And sometimes, like I said, you don't always want to be sharing your biggest goals with people that don't understand because it's going to sound like bragging, right? So maybe you keep certain things to yourself and just execute. Not everything needs to be said. You know what I mean? Because once you tell one person, it's not a secret anymore. So sometimes you just keep it close to your heart. You know what you want to do, go out and do it. You know, whether it's starting a podcast, whether it's becoming an agent, whether it's starting that online business that you wanted to start, or you know, anything. I say you just got to face your fears and do it. Like, you know, and that's what it's about. It's like people think that in life we have you're walking through life like a dress rehearsal. We only have one life. This is the only one we're getting. Yeah. Right? So you want to have no regrets. Just, you don't want to be 70, 80 years old thinking about all the things that you could have or should have done. It's like, right. No, like this is it. We're here now. No excuses and just go for it. Right. You have nothing. The worst that could happen is you fail and then you just get up and do something else. Right. So, and that's been my attitude with a lot of these things. And as you start to face, like right now I'm reading David Goggins' book. It's called Can't Hurt Me, which is a really good book. He's a Navy SEAL and it just talks about the belief in the mind and how powerful the mind is. Right. It really, really is. And like we talked about earlier, Chris, about just basically being a student for a lifetime. You always got to keep learning. I read a book a month at least, sometimes 2, and it's really helped me level up in my life, in my personal life and my business, just from just reading and learning and developing and connecting with people and having a positive attitude. Because like I said, with COVID, a lot of people, they're emotional. You could feel their negative energy. You could walk into somewhere, you could just feel the weird energy. And it's just like, you know what? I just keep smiling. I hold the door open for people still. Because at the end of the day, it's all about about yourself, right? So it's like, I read a book. It says like, you're going to be the guy what type of person are you, right? So it's like, yo, you're going to go to the grocery store and you use the cart Are you gonna be the remember? No one's watching. Are you gonna put the cart back, or are you just gonna leave it by your car?
Yeah,
Right?
I always put it back.
And that's what it is. It's the small things, those little small things. What are you gonna do? What type of person do you want to be? So it's like COVID or not. It's like we still need to be nice to people. We still need to love people, show people with respect, because you never know what people are going through. You may look at someone and think they're fine, but they could have just lost their dad. You know what I mean? They could have just lost their parent, their daughter. You know, who knows? So I think we just got to be kind. You got to spread love, spread kindness, and I think that will take us so far.
Okay. And I apologize if I pronounced your name wrong. It's Jayevan, right? Jayevan?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's okay.
Jayevan. Okay, I apologize because I assumed, and I should have checked with you. And Jayevan. Okay.
Yeah, Jay in the city Vaughn. So when I used to play sports for pronunciation key for the reporters and broadcasters, I'd put JAY dash the city Vaughn. So then they know like it's Jayevan.
Okay. And that's something I'm still working on with names too, because I want to make sure, and I should have checked with you, but I want to say, hey, I really appreciate you coming on my podcast, and we always save the best for last. And you were a great guest today, and I learned a lot of stuff, and I didn't know you were an Eagles fan, so that's even a bonus. So we'll definitely. I'm gonna have to try to bring on with the Philly sports guy. He's a huge Eagles fan. I've already had him on my podcast. His name is Jamie. He's the one that's helped me with my podcast, and I think you guys would hit it off because he's like one of the Eagles' biggest fans in Philly, and he paints his face and all that. And,
I seen that. I watched that one. And it's like I would love to even try to get Miles Sanders on. Like I know that's kind of crazy, but anything's possible, man. Like
I never thought I'd get John Murphy from the Bills on, Bob Sochi, the voice of the Patriots on, and Dan Shulman's been on, Jerry Howard. So I've been very lucky this past year, and I just basically it's called hard work, stay humble, and stay hungry.
That's it. Bam. Okay. Mic drop.
Okay. And where can my audience find you again on social media?
Yeah, so it's, for me, my social media is all my personal name at Jayevan Foster. So it's spelled Jayevan Foster. And then my business is Empire Management. So at Empire and then MGMT Management. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it. I'm on it. Even YouTube as well. So yeah, I'm hoping to connect with some of your fans. And like I said, I really appreciate you having me on. I had a blast talking with you, Chris. And like I said, your podcast is getting better and better. Your audience is only going to get bigger and bigger. Your guests are going to get bigger and bigger. And at least I could say I was the first agent on the show.
Well, thank you so much. And like I said, fly Eagles fly. And we'll definitely keep in touch with you on social media as well. And we'll book you again in the new year and hopefully maybe another Super Bowl for the Eagles.
Let's go.
Birds, go Birds.
That's it.
All right. Thank you so much. Happy New Year as well.
Happy New Year's, everyone. Take care.
You too. Have a good night. Thank you.
All right. Peace and love, guys.
Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my podcast tonight with Jayevan Foster, CFL player agent and former Vanier Cup champion with the Queens Golden Gales in 2009 as well. Guys, I'm just going to show a little clip as the Eagles are playing this week, and we're just going to put that on here right now. We're just going to show a little bit of a clip and a Eagles Washington preview clip.
Eagles are on the road in Washington this week. The team can only play spoiler. The Eagles, they may have started from the bottom, but now their whole team is blank here. Radio version.
Easy, yeah. Easy job. Good point.
And if the outcomes of each team's last games are any indicator, this game is already over. So let's just talk 3 reasons why Philly should move another step closer to the dance, starting with Washington's mindset, the team appearing to have made its way to Meltdown USA.
During commercial break, we'll look at what happened on that Washington bench with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, Cobble's teammates as well. Oh, well,
you had teammates taking swings at each other mid-game. You had their opponents hanging the not very often seen 50 burger with cheese and pickles on it. Birds' heads might have been falling off. Washington better hope that was their low point.
Looking that way is Prescott throwing that way, and that's going to be caught for the touchdown by Amari Cooper.
Reason number 2, Philly's mindset, which is on the other end of the spectrum right now. 6-2 in their last 8, made up for one of their stumbles by blowing the Giants out last week.
Hurts rolling right, throws to the end zone.
Can he stay in bounds?
No signal yet. Now there it is. Touchdown.
Reason number 3, these two played not that long ago when Washington still had plenty to play for. Philly won easy.
Hurts on the run. The throw for the end zone. It is caught. Greg Ward. It's like a user catch at Madden. Reeves was all over him.
Jalen Hurts threw for close to 300 yards in that game, rating over 110. Another triple-digit rating game from him last week.
Hurts looking on third down. And now he fires, and it's caught by Smith.
And that's not even covering the fact Philadelphia's rush attack is lethal. It's the best in the NFL.
This is Boston Scott, and he is in for an Eagles touchdown.
Why might Washington thumb their noses at all of that? It's the Eagles. This rivalry has been around since 1934. This season has had plenty of upside-down outcomes, too.
No panic in my face. I hope it ain't none of yours. We got time.
I wonder, think if the game is close, Washington might pull whoever their starting QB is. I think Nate Sudfeld is available. Have him pop in and take some snaps. You know, you rubbed our back, now we rub yours. Tell us what you think of that and the final score in the comments section. All we can do is show some scores.
Anyways, guys, yeah, so this Sunday at 1 o'clock, they take on Washington. The Eagles right now are the number 7 seed in the NFC wild card. The Saints and the Vikings both lost, so the Eagles are in a driver's seat. If the Eagles can just take care of business against Washington Sunday, they could clinch a playoff spot. And it would also be nice to beat Dallas on January 9th. Dallas has already clinched the NFC East, but Dallas is also trying to play for the number 1 seed in the NFC. So Dallas might still want to play their starters at least half the game in Philadelphia on January 9th. So right now it's on to Washington and take care of business 1 o'clock. And we'll see what happens. But the Eagles are 6-2 in their last 8 games. Miles Sanders will not be in this game. He broke his hand. He's going to be out. The Eagles did not put him on the injured reserve list as per Nick Sirianni. But I think with a broken hand, he won't be playing possibly until a wild card game, which is about 3 weeks from today. That's just my gut feeling as well. And also, guys, just to let you know, and thank you everybody for watching live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please subscribe. It's Chris Palme Live with CDP podcast. And I'm on Facebook, Twitter. And also, guys, the Live with CDP podcast, the audio version is on Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, and LinkedIn as well. And also, guys, you can follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. Again, that's at Live with CDP on TikTok. I'm just short of 600 followers, so I still need to get 1,000 to go live there as well. And also, guys, just to let you know, my next Live with CDP podcast will be in the new year. So this is my last podcast for 2021. But yeah, I will announce when my next live CD, I can talk. I will announce when my next Live with CDP podcast will be. Should be next week. I am working on more guests. I'm just confirming with dates and times with my guests next week. So I'm looking forward to it. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's watched or listened to Live with CDP podcast in 2021, or guests that have come on. Thank you so much for coming on. And I just want to wish everyone a happy new year in 2022. And I hope things get better for the world and sports as well then too. And also, guys, some other news before I go. The London Knights defenseman Logan Mulex has been restated by the Ontario Hockey League this afternoon. And also the World Junior Tournament in Edmonton has been canceled. That was just announced before I came on here earlier. So unfortunately, there's no more. As for now, the OHL seems to be a goal still. And I'm going to bring that up right now. The Guelph Storm returned to OHL action this week with 3 games in 4 days. Cross our fingers they don't get postponed. Tomorrow night, December 30th, at home to Windsor at 7 o'clock on Rogers TV and CJOY 1460 AM. And then Friday, December 31st, they take on the Otters in Erie. And then Sunday, January 2nd, home to Kitchener Rangers at 2 o'clock face-off at the Sleeman Center on Rogers TV. And I will be doing camera work that day, hopefully for Rogers TV in that game as well. And let's see, guys, and some other news. As you guys know, yesterday, John Madden, the late TV analyst and Hall of Fame coach turned broadcaster, passed away yesterday at the age of 85. He had a great career as a Hall of Fame coach with the Oakland Raiders, won 2 Super Bowls with them, and then spent 35 plus years in the booth with CBS, Fox, ABC, and NBC. I believe he's the only one that do 4 networks with the NFL, John Madden. And I still think of him with Pat Summerall. And back in 1980, when I started following the NFL, it was on the NFL and CBS, or the NFL. A lot of the games were on CBS, the NFC games. And that's where I learned a lot of my football from, was John Madden and Pat Summerall. And I remember John Madden always saying, boom, there goes a hit, or doink, and then having his Madden telestrator. So he was one of the best coaches, obviously, in NFL history, and one of the best color analysts as well. And if you haven't, check it out, his John Madden story piece on Fox that they did on Christmas Day. I'm sure they're going to replay it again, but it's a really good behind the scenes of the life of John Madden, and how he became a Hall of Fame coach into a Hall of Fame broadcaster as well. So, and before I go, guys, like I said, I will let you know when my next podcast is, which will be in 2022. And I'll definitely, hopefully, I'll have at least 2 or 3 podcasts next week as well. But I want to say, Jayevan Foster, CFL player agent and Vanier Cup champion with Queens, thank you so much for coming on today. And I want to just say thank you again to everybody watching this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and later on my audio platforms. And I just want to wish everyone a happy new year in 2022. And I hope you continue to enjoy Live with CDP in the upcoming year as well. So, all right, guys, I just want to say again, wishing you all a happy new year. And I hope you all have a great night. And we'll talk to you in the new year, hopefully next week shortly. Okay. Have a good night, guys. Again, thank you for watching and listening to Live with CDP podcast.